This video will be a bit different from my other videos. It'll be an essay that focuses on the celebration of this man's life, his impact and influence amongst generations, his numerous art pieces, and what he meant to me. My only goal for this video is to shine a light on just how incredible his work was, to inspire you to consume any of his masterpieces if you haven't, and to give my thanks. This video isn't about another person. This video is not about an average Joe. This video is about an icon, a poet, perhaps the best author to have ever lived. This video is about Akira Toriyama. April 5th, 1955, Akira Toriyama was born in Nagawa, Japan, a fairly popular city back then and even today. As a child, he quickly took up an interest in fiction and drawing. That obsession of art quickly turned into passion for animation as Akira began to explore media and watching animated films, such as 101 Dalmatians created by Dodie Smith all the way back in the late 50s and early 60s. However, what mainly inspired Toriyama to become a mangaka was the legendary artist himself, Osamu Tezuka, a man that is referred to as the godfather of anime. Tezuka created Astro Boy, and while it may not be popular by today's standards, make no mistake, this anime was influential in its own right back in the day, and it got the likes of Toriyama to begin writing his own stuff. What's also interesting is that before Tezuka died back in 1989, he noted that Akira Toriyama would be his successor in manga, and boy was he right. But before Akira took off, he struggled significantly to break into the manga industry. Tons and tons of his stories and drawings were not impressive enough to really win over the masses. In fact, Toriyama admits that he drew over 500 pages of work and still couldn't win people over to support his craft. He kept ranking last in popularity contests and Shonen Jump because his stories just simply weren't interesting. Until 1979 when Akira Toriyama created Dr. Slump. This would be his first of many projects that would eventually turn into classics under Toriyama's belt. When Toriyama finally completed Dr. Slump, he would struggle a little bit to find a solid and impactful story. But through patience, perseverance, inspiration from Jackie Chan, and an old Chinese novel called A Journey to the West, Akira Toriyama would end up creating the best piece of fiction known to man, Dragon Ball. Now, my introduction to Dragon Ball is a bit different in comparison to most people. When I was a kid, my father bought me a tiny Game Boy game called Dragon Ball Z Bruce Fury, and once I started playing that game, little 6-year-old me thought it was the greatest thing to ever be created. I loved this game with my being back then, and even though I had no idea who the characters were or what moves I was doing back then, I would grind this game for hours. When I showed my older god brother what game I was playing one night, he said, "Oh, you're playing Dragon Ball, sweet." I was shocked. I responded and asked, "How do you know what Dragon Ball is?" Then it hit me. He would watch Dragon Ball in the living room whenever I went over to his house, but I'd only watch Naruto since that was all I knew. Fun fact, Naruto was my first anime growing up and I still love it today. But after discovering Dragon Ball, it's like I found the cure to happiness. Now, most people that grew up in the West started with Dragon Ball Z first. However, my godbrother was able to find some original Dragon Ball content through VHS tapes, and from that day on, my love for Dragon Ball began to blossom. Dragon Ball is a pretty simple story. A boy with a monkey tail meets a smart teenage girl and begins a quest to search for the 7 mystical orbs called Dragon Balls that can grant the user almost any wish of their desire. You can tell where Toriyama got his inspiration from for Dragon Ball just by looking at this drawing. From Goku meeting Bulma for the first time to Oob taking off into the sunset with Goku for the last time, I love Dragon Ball throughout its entirety. While I love and enjoy every saga from Dragon Ball, some of my favorite sagas include the 22nd Budokai Tenkaichi Tournament, the King Piccolo Saga, the 23rd Budokai Tenkaichi Tournament, and the Cell Saga. However, if I were to say what my favorite saga was in the series, I would have to go with the Freeza Saga. This saga is insane from start to finish, and I still believe that this section of Dragon Ball has some of the best storytelling elements implemented in it that I have ever seen. If you ever want to study how to write a thrilling story that has readers on the edge of their seat from start to finish, this is the saga for that. Let me explain to you just how great the Freeza Saga was. From the beginning of Dragon Ball, even though Goku looked like an innocent child, you could always tell that Goku was different. Even though he looked like a human, the tail was an indicator that Goku is strange, almost as if he doesn't belong. Although the Dragon Ball verse is full of animals and creatures, you can tell that Goku was significantly different from those he interacted with. There's a talking cat, shape-shifting pig, and a dude with a third eye that explores with Goku, yet Goku was the one that stood out. Like, look at Chaozu. What even is a Chaozu? We go through the entirety of the original Dragon Ball getting no answers on Goku's origin until the beginning of the Z portion of Dragon Ball. Within the first few episodes of Dragon Ball Z, we find out that Goku not only isn't from the planet Earth, but he's an alien that has an alien brother from the same race and others that are just like Goku that exist out there. Just like that, years of foreshadowing pays off significantly, and there's layers and layers to go through. Gohan is kidnapped by Raditz, Goku is forced to team up with his arch nemesis Piccolo to rid this planet of this villain, and dies in the desperate efforts to defeat Raditz in order to save the planet. Just when we thought our heroes were safe, Piccolo accidentally reveals information to Raditz about the capabilities of the Dragon Balls, and all that information is relayed back to the other Saiyans, and now they want to come to Earth. Everyone now has a year to prepare for opponents that are even stronger than Raditz. Keep in mind, we're just a few episodes into the show. Pure insanity. Goku ends up going to the afterlife to learn more techniques and increase his power level in order to try to stop the evil Saiyans under the likes of King Kai. The rest of the Z fighters would train as well, but their efforts would soon be proven futile once the Saiyans arrive. Nappa begins to run one of the most ruthless gauntlets in anime history, packing up Tien, Piccolo, Krillin, and Gohan with relative ease. Yamcha also dies too, but you know. With Piccolo, Chaozu, Tien, and Yamcha dead, only Gohan and Krillin were alive, and all seemed lost until the man of the hour arrived. Goku had one of the coldest entrances in the entire series right here, and as soon as he landed, you knew he was back in business. This also had the famous "It's over 9,000" line, which I still like to revisit from time to time, but fun fact, the original line was actually supposed to be 8,000, but I don't know. 9,000 sounds better in my opinion. With ease, Goku disrespects Nappa and dismantles him piece by piece. I don't know, man. Standing on someone's head like this is crazy. Also, can we appreciate the choreographics here? The weaving is crazy, and you lay him down to rest like this? Is this not crazy? Is this not disrespectful? After Goku violates Nappa, we get the most iconic fight of all time in anime between Goku and Vegeta, and this fight is nothing less than generational. This battle was intense, from front to back, especially when Goku began whipping out the Kaioken attack. Goku was putting the hurt on this man, and I was here for it. The beatdown these two gave each other made me feel so alive, and this was what Dragon Ball was all about. High stake fighting with tons of build-up narrative behind it. More on the narrative point later. Anyway, the best part of this battle sequence was the Kamehameha wave against the Gallic gun. This was the definition of peak. To this day, I still catch myself screaming out when using the bathroom. It's that iconic. Nerdy? Sure, but look how amazing this is. Who knew big giant space lasers clashing would be something I'd be addicted to? Eventually, the battle would come to a gut-wrenching finish with Krillin and Gohan coming to Goku's aid and Vegeta fleeing the planet. An incredible Shonen Showdown classic written by the GOAT. But this was just the Saiyan Saga. The reason I went into detail about this part of Dragon Ball is because it all leads to the Freeza Saga. I don't think I've seen a saga build up so much tension and stakes before, point blank period. The ability to keep a watcher intrigued throughout the story and to set up everything for the next major chapter is magnificent. Guys, when I'm telling you the build up pays off, it pays off. For the next saga, the objective is clear from the start. Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma all have to go to Namek to collect Dragon Balls to bring their friends back from the dead. Simple enough. But there's one tiny problem. everyone wants the Dragon Balls. It soon becomes a race to get the Dragon Balls, but man, is the competition fierce. The Namekians who inhabit the planet want to protect the balls from the outsiders. Vegeta, the dangerous adversary that was behind the killings of the heroes in the previous saga, wants the Dragon Balls. The Ginyu Force wants the Dragon Balls. Also, the most sadistic being in the universe wants his hands on the Dragon Balls. Frieza. Yeah, this wasn't gonna be easy. But before I go on, I have to talk about the greatest anime villain to ever be written, Frieza. Frieza is evil, mean, cruel. Anything that remarks a great villain, Frieza has it. Akira Toriyama has done a fantastic job setting up Frieza to become an iconic villain by intertwining so many plot lines at this point. Remember, Goku's origins would be unknown, and now it is revealed in this saga that not only does he have a father named Bardock, but Bardock would put his final hopes in Goku to defeat the person who has been heartlessly ruling over his people for decades. It gets more interesting because Vegeta's backstory begins to unfold here as well, giving us an explanation as to why he is the way he is and how it stems from this monstrosity of a character. Sure, Vegeta was evil, and there's no doubt about that, but he doesn't hold a candle to what Frieza is. Also, Frieza eradicated his race and took everything away from him. It's almost as if Toriyama is painting this picture that Vegeta is a victim of his environment. Although Vegeta is wrong in his ways, deserves some mercy because he didn't ask to be in such an awful position. Frieza forced him to become what he is today, and because of that, being evil was all Vegeta knew. You just know Frieza has to be defeated by any means. Frieza was evil, down to the bone, and this was not gonna be an easy task for the heroes. Toriyama sets up this man beautifully to become an extravagant villain, and boy does he deliver. To take it a step further, King Kai, a literal god in the series, specifically tells Goku to avoid him because he is too powerful for Goku to face and says no one can beat him. If that's not aura, I don't know what is. But enough glazing about Frieza. It's time to get into the best saga in shonen history, the Freeza Saga.
This is my heritage, all I'm inheriting, money and power, the Mecca emeritus.
The crew is having a difficult time trying to navigate and fight through Namek, trying to keep a low profile to avoid the likes of Frieza's henchmen and the nightmare of the previous saga, Vegeta. Off the jump, their hands were already full. But when the Z Fighters were cornered, they had to team up with Vegeta because Frieza and his army were too strong. I don't know about you, but whenever the big rivals have to team up for the greater good in Dragon Ball, I promise you Akira has something cooked up for everyone to enjoy. Anyways, just when the heroes thought they were getting somewhere, their efforts were significantly halted by the Ginyu Force. Krillin gets smacked up, Vegeta gets horrifically bodied, and Gohan gets his neck snapped like a Kit Kat bar. God damn. But just when all seemed lost, Goku once again pulls up in his usual fashion. But Goku is different here. Way different. You can clearly see that Goku has grown significantly since his last deadly encounter on Earth. Yeah, we see Goku train on his way to Namek, but the massive gap between him and the others are now solar systems apart. No pun intended. I love this part of the saga because there's something about Goku arriving on the battlefield that gives you this feeling that everything will be okay. Toriyama has done an incredible job giving hope to the viewer for whenever Goku arrives in a dire situation. Goku has merit. He's risen to the occasions many times in the past. It creates this feeling that no matter the odds, Goku will get the job done. And you know what? He does just that. Goku off rip punches the daylights out of Raccoon and puts him out of his misery like he was nothing. Look at his crack. You know it's bad for him. Then he proceeds to show early signs of Ultra Instinct by bobbing and weaving Jace and Berter like they weren't even there. Goku is just toying with them and is showing the massive difference in strength between him and the rest of the fighters. Berter, who claims to be the fastest in the universe, isn't even able to land a scratch against the GOAT, while Goku got Jace shook from his aura alone. From pure aura. Yeah, Goku is that guy. After he easily makes waste of Berter and Jace, we finally arrive at the head of the Force, Ginyu, and boy were hands thrown. The skirmish between Goku and Ginyu is still one of the most underrated fights in the series, and I wish it got more love. Ginyu was a genius here because he knew that he couldn't beat Goku through normal metrics and had to resort to switching bodies in order to stand a chance, and this was pulled off cleverly. Ginyu and his squad were defeated, but Goku had to get his wound healed because of the previous fight and was removed from the story temporarily. The heroes at this point were so close to accomplishing their mission on Namek, the only hurdle they had left was to overcome the great evil of Frieza. Quick pause. This was once again genius from Toriyama to remove Goku from this section of the story here temporarily, because this would begin to tease the viewer that Goku and Frieza, the two heavyweights of the saga, have to duke it out, but the timing isn't right yet. The reason being is because we haven't seen the depths of Frieza's true powers just yet, and Goku being there would ruin the tension. We see Frieza transform back to back to back, and we soon realize that no one stands a chance against this monster. Krillin gets turned into a shish kebab, Gohan isn't strong enough even with his rage increasing his power. Piccolo gets revived and joins the fight, and even though he got significantly stronger and was able to fight and overpower Frieza's second form, it wouldn't be enough as Frieza has another form in his bag. Frieza finally reaches his final form and Doomsday is upon them. Frieza demonstrates that he is a cut above anything the Z Fighters have ever seen and is rightfully crowned as the strongest in the universe. Everyone falls victim to Frieza's new powers, but the one that received it the worst was probably Vegeta. Now, I've seen many beatdowns in this story, some of them were pretty gruesome, but the beating Frieza gives Vegeta was brutal. What could Vegeta have done within his lifetime to warrant a beating like this? Jeez. Even though Vegeta was raving about being a Super Saiyan and upholding a form that was in Legends, it's clear that he isn't a Super Saiyan and is ultimately slain by Frieza. But more on Super Saiyans later. Just when all seemed lost once again, Goku arrives once more to finally wrap up everything, and after years and years of build-up and suspense, we are finally at the most important fight that was built up since the beginning. Toriyama delayed this perfectly and knew everything in the story that built up to this moment was going to wrap up right here, right now. The beginning of the fight was pretty good, and Goku was putting up a decent match against Frieza, but that begins to slow down pretty quickly. TLDR, Goku begins to lose, and pretty badly too. Goku uses everything in his arsenal to try to take down Frieza, but he's just too good. His punches aren't strong enough, the Kamehameha wave is way too weak, the Kaioken multipliers are not enough, nothing can get past this guy. On top of that, Frieza is only using less than 50% of his full power. The situation is grim. The only person in the universe that stands a chance against Frieza is losing. This is bad, not just for Namek or Earth, but potentially every living thing in the universe. If Goku doesn't win here, the universe is finished. When all seemed lost, Goku used one more trick up his sleeve in a desperate gamble, the Genki Dama. With the efforts and distractions from the likes of Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin, Goku was able to get the Spirit Bomb off, and finally the big threat against the universe was gone. Everyone finally goes home, the Dragon Balls are safe, and wait, is that? No. Frieza is still alive, man. The absolute horror on their faces is priceless. Toriyama's writing here is another fantastic highlight of the saga. Everyone gave Frieza their best efforts. No one stands a chance through normal means, and on top of that, Frieza took the Genki Dama to the face and lived. Oh boy. Frieza begins to run riot. Piccolo gets hit with a death beam and is down for the count. It's the end for everyone. Krillin is the next to go, and this is where everything changes. Oh my god. This was when I knew nothing was going to top Dragon Ball. This moment right here. If you remember back in the earlier parts of the Namek Saga, Vegeta kept on raving to everyone that he was finally a Super Saiyan and took up the legendary status that has not been obtained for eons. But we never really knew what a Super Saiyan was until now. I'm so glad that Toriyama hid this for so long. Once again, his payoffs hit like crack. The foreshadowing and the plot lines that are interconnecting at this moment was everything and amplified my love for Dragon Ball tenfold. You just knew that once you saw the blonde that Frieza was cooked. Quick side fact, when Toriyama was writing the manga, he wanted to give Goku a new form, but also wanted to save time as he was writing the story. So he decided to give Goku spiky hair and not color it to save some time, and in doing so, accidentally created the most iconic transformation in history. I've seen One Piece fans saying Gear 5 was more iconic than Super Saiyan, and all I could do is laugh, because maybe they're trolling. Listen, I bet One Piece is great. I've seen some episodes, but I've never ever heard someone say, "Rah, I'm going Gear 5. You know what I have heard though? Anyway, we get back to the battle and Goku is going crazy. He's putting the absolute hurt on Frieza and nothing is impacting Goku. Frieza, for the first time ever, was experiencing what it's like to be bested in a fight, and this was when he felt true terror. This gets Frieza mad, like really mad. Frieza is not the type to accept defeat, and this is where the stakes rise even higher. Since Frieza is a sore loser and is upset that Goku is beating him, he attempts to blow up the planet since Goku can't breathe in space, but he can. What a loser. But apparently he missed the core of the planet, and now instead of the planet blowing up immediately, it's gonna blow up in about 5 minutes. Which really wasn't 5 minutes, but whatever. Now most rational people would think, I should probably get off the planet. But here's the thing, Goku isn't like most people. He's a Saiyan that thirsts for battle and never backs down in the heat of it. What's even crazier was the fact that he let Frieza power up to 100% of his full power. And I sound like a broken record, but Toriyama has done an incredible job highlighting what a Saiyan is all about. They were a warrior race that loved battle, and if there was a definition that measured what a battle was about, it's this one right here. The planet is exploding in near minutes, the strongest opponent in the universe is releasing his full power, and Goku doesn't have a clear way to escape Namek within a reasonable time frame. Nothing is topping this. If badassery had to be defined, it would be through Goku right here. These two go at it and I am witnessing pure cinematics. I revisit this fight so often because this is a fight done well. When storytelling leads to incredible climaxes, I cannot take my eyes off it. Goku is fulfilling the wishes that were bestowed upon him by Bardock and Vegeta to defeat Frieza, while Frieza is having to face the one thing he was always afraid of. Someone that could rival his strength, a legend that he wished to be just fantasy has finally fully manifested right before his eyes. A Super Saiyan. And to put the cherry on top, he was just a monkey. Two galactic titans swapping hands back and forth on a dying planet is peak fiction. Easily the best fight in the anime, and that includes Goku fighting Vegeta. There's just so much writing on this fight here. Goku has to win, and you feel the desperation and the need to succeed because everything is on the line. Please, I'm begging you to go watch this fight if you haven't. The action behind this fight is incredible and is something I know you'd like if you love shonen. But after the long fight, Goku finally defeats Frieza and escapes Namek in the nick of time off of a broken space pod. Sick. Everyone who died in the previous saga gets their life back, and the Z Fighters succeed after a harsh bout on planet Namek. While I am heavily satisfied with the conclusion of the Freeza Saga and happy Goku lived, as controversial as this is gonna sound, I wouldn't have been upset if Goku died here and Dragon Ball as a series ended as a whole. Hear me out. Goku did everything right. He completed his mission, got the fight of his life, and died fighting for the safety of the universe. They even had the opportunity to wish Goku off of Namek with the Dragon Balls, but decided to honor Goku's wish to stay and fight instead. Goku was happy with the idea of potential death right there and then. He's reached the full potential of what a Saiyan could reach at that time, reaching a status that has not been reached for centuries. Narratively, everything was complete. He conquered everything at that moment, and if he died on the planet and Dragon Ball ended here, it would have been a perfect ending to a terrific story. And again, this isn't me saying that I don't like the future sagas. The Cell Saga is pretty cool, and I also like the Buu Saga. I'm just saying, if they were to make an opportunity to make a send-off at that moment, it would have made sense. The Freeza Saga is so good, and the only reason I went into depth about this subject is because I hear a lot of critiques about Dragon Ball, but some of them are really bad. But this has to be one of the worst ones.
So check me out. I would have a lot more respect for Dragon Ball Z fans if they were more honest like this brother. Because let's be real, it ain't about the writing for Dragon Ball Z. It's not about the writing at all. It's about the fights. It's about the power-ups. It's about the fights.
What did you just say?
What a garbage take. Dragon Ball having no plot and is only good for fighting is a common critique I hear, and my goodness, is media literacy astonishingly low. I love fighting in Dragon Ball, and it certainly is a highlight that I thoroughly enjoy. But that doesn't take away Toriyama's ability in writing a masterpiece of a story. I spent majority of this video explaining and detailing just how insane Toriyama's foreshadowing, allegory, and ability to create immense climaxes through the entirety of Dragon Ball was. He was so detailed and driven in creating Dragon Ball. How in the world do you reach the conclusion that Dragon Ball is not about the writing? You know what makes a fight iconic? It's the storyline that is behind the fight. The build-up into characters is what people want to see. It's a tale as old as time. Naruto vs Sasuke is a great example because we see not only fist clash, but their ideologies as well. Their motivations and purpose as to why they're ninjas. Naruto is fighting for the friendship he has with Sasuke and is trying to prevent Orochimaru from leading Sasuke into darkness, while Sasuke is blinded by the potential of power that could defeat Itachi, his biggest enemy, and is willing to burn any bridge and sell his soul to get there. This is why Naruto is so good. Kira vs L is a mental scuffle between two of the smartest characters in the verse, and the first to slip up dies. It's not because it's just a mental chess match, it's because of the story behind who Kira was and who L was. It was philosophies having a go at each other, representation of right and wrong. It wasn't just good versus evil, it was perspectives being tested. That's what made Death Note such an incredible story. This happens in real life all the time. Let's use basketball as an example. There's a reason why LeBron's 2016 ring was significantly celebrated after winning it. It wasn't just because good basketball was being played. Any team in the NBA can play a good basketball game, but what makes the game special is the story behind it. LeBron James and Kyrie Irving were down 3-1 in the series against arguably the most well put together team in NBA history and was able to make the greatest comeback of all time. That ring is celebrated for LeBron so much because he did the impossible by beating the odds. That makes for quite a tale. That's what makes these narratives incredible. So no, Dragon Ball isn't just good for its fights, it's a well-made story. You're telling me that people watch 291 episodes of Dragon Ball and you think to yourself, yeah, Dragon Ball has no plot? Be so for real and give Toriyama his credit. Jeez. Speaking of media literacy being at an all-time low, the Goku is a bad dad take still exists in 2024. If you say this as a joke, that's cool, and I love making jokes. Haha, Piccolo's a better dad. Like, that's cool, and it's funny. But to the people that genuinely believe Goku is a bad dad, I don't think we read or watched the same series. Maybe you got your perspective of Dragon Ball from Dragon Ball Z abridged and didn't watch the actual show, I don't know. But look, Goku is a fantastic father, and I'm going to die on this hill. He raised Gohan alongside Chi-Chi and did everything in his power to provide Gohan with love and adoration while he was alive. Do you guys remember when Gohan's crazy uncle from space kidnapped Gohan and Goku humbled himself to team up with his arch nemesis from the previous saga in order to save Gohan? Or when Goku took a beam to the chest for the safety of his son and the protection of the planet, causing his own death? Did we just magically forget that? Well, what about the Senzu bean with Cell? Yeah, what about it? People are so quick to forget the point of Cell getting a Senzu bean. Goku did that for two reasons. One was because he wanted Cell to bring out Gohan's full potential, and two was because Cell was gonna need it, because Goku knew that Gohan was going to beat the pancakes out of this guy. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Goku was right in the end. Not only was Gohan's potential unleashed, but he had Cell on life support with only 2 hits. 2. Nobody, including Piccolo, who you guys believe is a better father, believed in Gohan beating Cell, and they all thought he'd lose. Guess who didn't lose faith though? Goku. Goku was the only one that believed Gohan could beat Cell, and he did it. Also, when Gohan got too arrogant and Cell got the Z Fighters into check by blowing up the planet if he was touched, Goku took the fall for Gohan. Instead of blaming Gohan for his recklessness, he decided to use his final moments with him to explain just how proud he was of Gohan, and asked him to please take care of Chi-Chi because he knew he was going to die there. Goku shows Gohan love and adoration and is willing to die for his son if he has to. Oh yeah? Well, Piccolo would never let Gohan get abused like this. Again, did we watch the same series? Piccolo, off rip, threw this child into a mountain, dumped him into a puddle, and left him to starve for several nights in the cold. Mind you, Gohan is 4, turning 5, but you get the idea. Like, look, he's literally shooting lasers at Gohan and is frying him alive. When Piccolo wants to bring out his best potential, he's a great mentor, but when Goku wants to do the same thing, he's a bad father? Where did this double standard come from? It's such a bad take and just infuriates me because if you genuinely believe this take, you could not have watched the show. Plus, Goku is an alien, he's a Saiyan, and you're judging him off of human metrics. Come on. To tie back around the whole Dragon Ball has no plot take, I really hate how people overlook such a beautiful story because there's so many wonderful moments and lessons that blossom from it. Goku meeting his grandpa Gohan after his mysterious death at the time, Goku defeating King Piccolo despite only having 1 arm, or Goku finally winning the world tournament and persevering despite losing so many times prior, or choosing to sacrifice his life for the sake of others. How could you not appreciate what Toriyama was trying to narratively portray? The emotional scenes tugging at your heart make the story such a spectacular experience. Dragon Ball is such an incredible story with many plotlines stringing the narrative all together. It's so good, I mean, even your favorite series writers were inspired by Dragon Ball. Kashimoto, Oda, and Kubo, the creators of Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, commonly known as the Big Three, all loved Dragon Ball when they were young. They've directly admitted that some of their writing was inspired by Akira Toriyama himself. But it doesn't stop there either. Many classics like Yu Yu Hakusho, Hunter x Hunter, One Punch Man, My Hero Academia, and many shonens after Dragon Ball were inspired by this man. If you look at Naruto or My Hero Academia, you can tell that the tournament arcs in those respected series took big elements from Dragon Ball's tournament sagas and implemented them into their own stories. I really hate to be that guy, but if you like these shows, you like Dragon Ball. You like One Piece, you like Dragon Ball. You like Naruto, well too bad, you like Dragon Ball also. For crying out loud, Naruto looks like a Super Saiyan. Come on now. You like Bleach? You like Dragon Ball. Quick thing I found, someone said that Toriyama didn't write arcs, he wrote sagas. That's why I never used the word arcs to describe Dragon Ball and I only use sagas because that statement is so true. That's how influential he was. But Akira's influence doesn't stop there. This man's influence is worldwide. Generational, if I must say. Dragon Ball had parades, movies, hell, activity in the Mexican cartel will significantly decrease whenever Dragon Ball Super would release an episode. That's not actually real, it's just a joke, but pretend it's real. The Mexican people actually really love Dragon Ball. Listen, everyone did the Kamehameha. Everyone wanted to be a Super Saiyan. Everyone wanted to use instant transmission. And don't lie to me either. You know for a fact that when your gas tank was running low or you missed the school bus, your ass was trying to get to your destination with instant transmission to get there on time. Also, Super Saiyan? Dog. This guy is a representation of every anime fan on the planet, and to this day, I still try to go Super Saiyan after I get a good pump at the gym. One day, there are millions of references to Dragon Ball all across the media, from music to cartoons to TV shows, it's all there. Akira Toriyama was influential everywhere. Also, let's talk about how deep Akira Toriyama's bag was. He was involved with other projects such as Dr. Slump, as I mentioned way earlier in the video, Chrono Trigger, Dragon Quest, Blue Dragon, Tobal, Sandland, Koa, Kajika, and so much more. The depths of this man's talent transcends beyond comprehension. The nerds that scaled the show loved Dragon Ball, the hood rocked with Dragon Ball, man, everyone loved Dragon Ball. So when the news of his passing was announced, I was hurt, deeply. And I bet a lot of you guys were hurt also. The world was impacted heavily. Losing someone that has influenced the world in more ways than I can count is heartbreaking, especially when it's someone that you look up to. Through Dragon Ball, I learned so many lessons that I'll hold on to until my time has come. Akira Toriyama taught us to make friends, to do the right thing when the time comes, to move well, study well, play well, eat well, rest well, to never back down from a challenge no matter the odds, to show bravery in everything you do, to shine in the face of adversity that life would bring to you, to know that perseverance always triumphs no matter how many times you might have failed, to forgive others and show kindness even if they may not deserve it sometimes, to protect your loved ones at all cost, to fight for the greater good no matter the opponent, to keep yourself humble and keep your ego in check, to sacrifice for those who you love and care about. And the most important lesson of all is that nothing is impossible should you put your mind to it. Akira Toriyama, I'll forever be in debt for such an incredible story that you've made. I can't pay you back with much, but I can show my gratitude with 2 simple words. Thank you. Dear Akira Toriyama, you don't know who I am, but I certainly know who you are. Your work is the reason why I fell in love with anime and video games. You probably heard that your work is good from so many people, so I won't waste your time with too much flattery. I just want you to know that you're loved and appreciated by so many people, including myself. I'm sure you didn't envision yourself to impact so many people, but here we are. I don't think I'll ever read a story as good as yours. Sure, there'll be other good stories out there, but Dragon Ball will forever have a place in my heart. God bless you, Toriyama, and I hope you and King Kai are making jokes and training hard on his planet. Rest well, man. Sincerely, King Theodore.